Welcome to Black Gumbo Southern Gardening. Let's talk today about protecting your fruit from birds. Check this out. My tomatoes are starting to color up, and as they start turning colors and getting bright red, they're going to attract birds. And that's always been a problem for me growing tomatoes in my garden, is the tomatoes attract birds. And the big culprits around here are mockingbirds, cardinals. Those are the two biggest tomato peckers that come around. And you know, you wait and you wait and you wait and you start seeing color come up like this, and you think, man, I'm going to have some good tomatoes soon. And you come back the next day, you think, just one more day, sun ripening. You come back the next day and there's a big hole in it, or you know, there's a few peck holes in there, or half the tomatoes eaten out and all the bugs get in there and destroy it. Well, what can you do to keep the birds away? I have some ideas. One idea is to take these silk bags. They make them for crafts, they make them for all kinds of applications, but you could buy these bags in all different sizes on Amazon. And I got this size because I think it'll fit over one of those trusses, and that will prevent the birds from getting in there and pecking those things and ruining them. So I'm going to try this. Just slide one of those bags over and cinch it up, and you can tie it off just like that. I'll do a better knot when I come back. But now these tomatoes can grow in here. They still get the sun, and well, the birds can't get to them. Let's do another one here. Again, it's just a bag with a drawstring closure that you can cinch up. And so what I'll do is slide this over. I could probably get two of these. I could probably get two of these trusses in one bag. There we go. Yeah, there's one tomato sticking out, but that's the idea. You can cover these. I've used these successfully on fig trees. I've got some smaller ones, and if I've got a particular fig variety that I really like, and they've got some good big juicy fruit on there, I'll come and put one of these bags over each of the fruit, because those mockingbirds really like to eat those figs. They like to get the moisture out of the inside. And that's usually what the birds are after. When they're coming after your tomatoes, they're after the moisture content that's inside. One other option to help keep the birds away from your tomatoes especially is to put a bird bath in your yard. I've tried this one year. The birds didn't really like it, but I know some people swear by it. They put a bird bath in their yard, and that keeps the birds going for moisture at the easy part, you know, at the bird bath where it's easy for them, instead of having to peck all your tomatoes. Now this is kind of a hassle, but if you want to keep your tomatoes away from the birds, I think it's kind of worth it, especially as they start coloring up like this. There we go. Now I think that'll hold just by cinching it up, unless it gets real windy. So I'm going to tie this one up pretty good. Well, just a single knot so I can get it back off of there. But that ought to keep the birds off of these tomatoes here. Phoebe, what are you after? You're knocking over my plants. Come on now. I have these tomato plants in pots. They're determinants, so they're a little bit smaller. They've got this handy cage around them. And I put these cages not only to help hold up the fruit, but also because I have in mind a plan to keep the birds off of these tomatoes. Let's get a bird net and drape it over here. I got this bird net years ago, you can see by the faded packaging, but this bird netting is sold anywhere they sell garden supplies. I bought this off of Amazon. It's a 14 by 14 square of this green mesh. And what we're going to do is we're going to drape this around our tomato plants here, and that will exclude the birds physically from getting in there. Now you got to get it all the way to the ground. I've actually come out and found birds under my tomato netting in the past, so you got to make sure that you don't have any holes in it. Now you could hold this up with any kind of T-post or a tomato cage like this, but you just wrap it around. And I'm going to take some bricks and make it sure that it's down against the ground. And all the excess I'll just cut off, and I'll have enough of this netting for a couple other plants. Easy peasy. All right. Got enough at the top where these can grow a little taller, just push that netting up. Gather a bunch of it up together down here at the bottom, secure that with a brick, and I'll do the same on the other side, and that should do. Well, there we go. Pretty simple solution, huh? Easy. One person can do it, too. It would be quicker. And now I get to eat those wonderful tomatoes that are in there without bird holes in them. Physically excluding the birds is pretty much the only surefire way that I've discovered to keep the birds off your fruit. Everything else is not quite surefire, but that, birds aren't going to get in there. Keeping birds out of gardens and fields and crops has always been agriculture's, one of agriculture's traditions. Usually it's done, you can't just cover an entire field or an entire garden with bird netting. Usually it's done by deterrents. This guy right here, this is Wilson, the one-eyed wander owl. That's what my son calls him. Wilson is a decoy designed to scare away birds and squirrels and other garden things that owls like to eat. Well, Wilson didn't work. Wilson doesn't work. I've seen mockingbirds sitting on top of his head. So it's the scarecrow idea. It's the way to frighten the animals away with something that, well, they don't want to be around, like a predator or like a human. You build a human scarecrow and it looks like a person in the garden. But there are other ways that people have tried with different levels of success to deter the birds. Many years ago in this very bed I had a tomato trellis made of these T-posts, and I was doing Florida weave and other kind of trellising methods. But I had the bird problem, and every time I'd come out, I'd look for my fruit that I had left the day before to ripen up a little bit more. And there, yeah, bird damage. So I bought this stuff called reflective bird tape. And it's mylar, and it's reflective. And I hung strips of it off of my trellis, and it blew in the wind. Well, it scared the birds off for a few days, but man, mockingbirds especially are brave and bold, and they're not frightened by much. They soon learned that that tape wasn't going to get them, and so they could come in and get down in there and eat the tomatoes anyway. So that mylar reflecting tape, it helps until your birds wise up. Same thing, I've seen people put old CDs, you know, the round CDs. They have a shiny side, and they'll blow in the wind. You hang it from a string on your trellis, and it's supposed to frighten the birds away. It's the same principle. That flash of light, that reflectivity, yeah, I haven't had any success with that either. There's our culprit, at least one of them, and the other one's up there too. You see at the very top of that tree, of that palm tree, there's a mockingbird up there, and he's agitated and upset about something. Must be a snake up there up at the top of that tree. But right next to him on another palm tree is the cardinal, and that cardinal, yeah, they come. You can tell by the triangular shape of the hole that finch beak has been pecking at your fruit. Now again, I'm just putting the bags on the fruits that are starting to get color. The rest of them I'm going to leave alone. Usually they get left alone by the birds, but once they start getting color on them, that's when I have bird pressure. And so I think we've taken that away from the birds now, and I think we're good. Okay, so just so you know what to buy, these are called organza bags, and they come in different sizes. I don't remember the size of this one, but organza bags. Just search Amazon and you'll find tons of them. I'm not going to leave you a link because we'll just search organza and you'll find it there. That's all I would do if I had to leave you a link. So they just cinch up just like that, and they keep your fruit protected from birds. Then the other is just bird netting. Garden centers sell this. It's real cheap. Somebody I saw online found it at the dollar store. So you can get this bird netting, and you can exclude the birds from your tomatoes using this if you've got just kind of a smaller area. But man, for a big bed like that, yeah, these are great. Well, there it is, a small video on how to preserve your fruit from bird attack. I found that the exclusion methods, the netting and the bags, those are the only surefire ways that work. Birds are far too smart. They learn what's going on. They wise up to your decoys and to all the flashy tape and the water sprinklers. They learn the parameters and where it's safe and how to get around those sprinklers. They're smart. Birds are smart. But yeah, so there it is. I hope you found it useful. like us on Instagram and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. We'd like to try to put out 2 or 3 videos a week during the spring growing season. And we'll talk to you next time. Happy gardening. Bye-bye.